afternoon and welcome to the Town of Riverhead Planning Board meeting. Today is Thursday, April 20th, 2023. If we could rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we do not have any public hearings today, so we are going to begin with our discussion items. And the first one up today is T-Mobile Fresh Pond Avenue with Matt Charters. Hi, Matt.
How you doing?
Good.
How's everybody doing? This is an equipment swap to a 122-foot tall monopole wireless communication facility. It's got a Verizon building, equipment cabinets with a 1-acre parcel up on Fresh Pond Avenue. If everyone's familiar with the area, there's South Path, that's on the west side of the road. This is just a little bit north of South Path, and then there's an auto repair place just to the north. There's like a triangle piece. Not too much to this, kind of typical for these cell tower swaps. We did get a site plan, survey the property, FCC compliance report, amount analysis report, and a structural analysis report. The work, they are taking out antennas, putting in 12 new antennas, cables, and the like. The FCC compliance report did find that this is 15 times less the amount for the maximum permissible radio that comes out. Structural analysis was deemed to be fine by an engineer, as was the mount analysis. So I'm looking for conditional approval. Neg deck on this.
Do they have an emergency generator?
I didn't actually see one.
It's not listed.
Some of it's not, and it wasn't on the plans. I looked through, anticipating that. I did look through IPS today to see if they had one in the past for any of the other providers there, but I didn't see anything. I mean, we anticipate that eventually they do all come in and usually put a generator in.
Good idea.
Do we have all the professional stamps and signatures?
We do, and then we'll have the condition that they get the post-construction analysis as we do with all these.
Okay,
Good.
very good, thanks. Let's move on to RH Hamptons LLC, again with Matt Charters.
Okay, this was just on for discussion today. Someone wanted to come up. It's just really related to the workforce housing requirement and compliance with the Long Island Workforce Housing Act. I did distribute to the board a memo from Dawn.
Written by Matt.
Thank you. Earlier the week. It really just explains what the law is, when we have to do it. As Member Bayer had mentioned when we had a public hearing on this law, he says, oh, it's 5 lots, they have to do workforce housing, which was correct. So we looked at this. Based on if you're familiar with the layout of this property, it's DC5, so it's a very small lots that are allowed. They're 5,000 square feet, and due to the size and just the layout, allowing the density bonus just wouldn't really be appropriate here, because then you'd be looking at even smaller lots. So in this case, we'd be, it's our recommendation to require the applicant to pay into the Affordable Housing Fund in lieu of providing the lot on site. So that is 2 times, right? 2 times the Nassau-Suffolk CDP for a family of 4, or in the case where the lot is appraised at a lesser value, it's the value of whatever of the lot if that's less than the average income, or in the alternative, the applicant can reduce their yield by 1, and then they won't have to comply with this. Yeah, so they can get out of it.
So they have to make a decision.
They have to make a decision too. I would stick to our recommendation for the payment in lieu of, but they can obviously go down to 4 lots and they won't have to comply.
Are they aware of those choices?
They are. Mr. Cuddy's seen the memo. He just couldn't be here today. We'll probably have it on for discussion again. I'm looking to maybe move this towards conditional approval. If you remember, we discussed processing this as a minor subdivision, even though it's 5 lots, just because there's not really much to it. So we're pretty much there and ready to go.
I went by accident.
Yeah, if you look at it, it looks like a big parking lot, but it is
Saw the lots.
developable.
And I had mentioned in one of the bar discussions about curbs.
Curbs, yeah, and all
And they are there.
yeah,
They've been there a long time, so they're pretty overgrown.
overgrown.
They should be extended.
Absolutely. Any other questions?
Not for me.
Nope, very good, thank you. Okay, let's move on to Sandy Pond Links LLC mini golf course and parking lot with Greg Bergman, please.
Thank you. For the record, Greg Bergman of the Riverhead Planning Department. We do have Kim Judd here, attorney for the applicant, and we have Brian Stark representing Sandy Pond Links LLC. So we're here before the planning board. This is really, at this point, a referral on a special permit application that is pending before the town board. Obviously, if the special permit gets approved, it will require site plan approval from the planning board. But town code requires referrals of special permits to the planning board for their recommendations and opinions. We will then transmit the opinions and recommendations back to the town board for their consideration. So what we're looking at is a special permit seeking approval to construct an 18-hole mini golf course at the site of an existing 9-hole golf course. Project site is located at 1495 Roanoke Avenue. It's on the west side of the road. It's north of the intersection of Roanoke and Middle Road. Special permit is required from the town board because this is considered an expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use. Subject parcel is approximately 17.6 acres, I guess it said on the west side of Roanoke Avenue. This was actually part of a minor subdivision that the planning board approved back in 2016. This was actually one of the first applications I worked on when I came to the town. So this was split off. The golf course was essentially split off, separated from the C&D, the sand mine. I believe it's Bob Terry's operation on the north. So we're just looking at the golf course portion, the 17.6 acres. The site's presently improved with a 9-hole golf course, which was approved by the town board and issued a certificate of occupancy in 1969. The application is considered a type 1 action pursuant to SECRA, requiring mandatory coordinated review. The planning board, obviously being an involved agency. So on Tuesday, the town board did classify the action and initiate SECRA coordinated review. So one of the points I want to ask the planning board, does the board have any objection to the town board acting as lead agency for the review of the site plan and special permit? No? All right, so we can transmit that back as a no objection. So I do note that sometime between October 15th of 2022 and January 3rd of 2023, the applicant engaged in some illegal clearing of vegetation along the property's southern boundary, as well as along the frontage with Roanoke Avenue. On page 3 of my staff report, I did capture some aerials from near maps which show the areas in which vegetation were removed. So this will require the site plan fee to be doubled in accordance with Town Code Section 301-305G5. The clearing that took place on the subject property was very much a sticking point on the town board. Anytime any clearing is done without any kind of site plan approval, it sort of puts the reviewing boards at a disadvantage. You know, there's no way for us to assess what type of vegetation was there, what the status of it was, if it was dead, dying, healthy. So the town board was very, very succinct and to the point that we're going to look for a revegetation plan. I have spoke with Mr. Stark. He will provide that. He will have their engineers start to work on it.
That
And
has
those,
to be submitted to the town board, is that right?
it will be submitted for the town board for their consideration. The site plan is really more with the planning board, so if there's any recommendations as to types of vegetation that you'd like to see there. I did note regarding there is some drainage structures. On page 4 of the staff report, you can see the purple lines are existing drainage pipes that come, I'm not sure whether they come from the Roanoke Avenue right-of-way into the golf course or vice versa. I have put in an inquiry with the town engineer's office to see the nature of these pipes and how they work. Just initial conversations indicated that there was some sheet flow that was coming from the farm field, I believe, to the northeast of this property. So there was some negotiations between the town and the prior property owner, which I believe was the Buckles family. So there is some existing drainage structures there. We just want to see if there are no formal easements in place at this time. Easements should be put in to capture that drainage structures.
Wasn't there something we were saying about some of the drainage originally would go into the pond?
Well, that's what I said. So there is something on the plans. The plans do show some of the drainage from the parking lot there are dry wells being proposed within the parking lot, but then there are some pipes that do head into one of the water features, probably to act
Oh,
as,
there it is, yeah.
an overflow.
Right.
Again, I don't believe those ponds are lined, so they could act as a natural retention basin. I did refer them to the engineering department for their review and comment. So just getting back to the special permit, the location of the mini golf course was something that I brought up with the town board. Right now on the plans, the mini golf course is sort of shown right up on the roadway. I made the recommendation that the mini golf course should be pushed back further off the roadway. This would allow for a nicer vegetative buffer, additional screening from the roadway. We do have residential properties right across the street. And I did also note during the review, so they have lighting fixtures that are proposed in the parking lot. In discussions with the applicant, they do have intentions to propose lighting for the mini golf course. So this was one of the things that came up in the special permit review, was the question of whether or not hours should be regulated on the mini golf course. During the town board work session, one of the town board members had indicated that, you know, the hours aren't regulated on the existing golf course. I do note that there are no lighting fixtures on the golf course, so they're really restricted to daylight hours. If this is something that's going to be open during the nighttime, I did make the recommendation to the board that they should consider hours of operation.
Are you considering night golf? The golf? For the mini golf? No, but the golf course itself, no.
So again, so just knowing the operation, and not that mini golf in and of itself is a loud operation, but you do have residences across the street. They will be serving beer, wine, and cider at the golf course, so voices will carry at night. There are definite distinctions between there was a mini golf course with a batting cage on County Route 58. I went and did a little bit of research, so when that was approved in 2000, it was a special permit of Edward Meyer. The town board at that time actually did restrict the hours of operation on the site. They said that no mini golf tickets shall be sold after 10 o'clock, and they required that the lights for the batting cage be extinguished no later than 10. Now, I do note there is a distinction between a batting cage, which is a lot louder than a mini golf course would be, but just the fact that you will have lighting, you will have outdoor activity in an area which is very distinctly different from County Route 58. You know, I mean, north of Middle Road, we're into the Residence A40 zoning district. You're sort of adjacent to the APZ. Consideration really should be given to the hours of operation of the site.
You're just talking for regulating the hours of the mini golf course use, right?
Correct.
Entire,
Correct, yeah, I mean, but again, if there's no lights in the golf course, they're limited to daylight, so that'll be taken care of. So it's really for the mini golf course. They are proposing to formalize a curb cut on Roanoke Avenue. Right now, it's sort of just an open access plan. There is no formal curb cut. So they are proposing sidewalks and curbing all along Roanoke Avenue. They are proposing a 62-stall parking lot with landscaping throughout. All the parking stalls are 10 foot by 20 foot, and they do propose 4 handicap accessible parking stalls, which complies with the code.
The parking area is for the mini golf and the golf course?
I believe so.
yes.
In terms of trash collection and loading areas, the site plans currently don't identify any dumpster enclosures, so that's something that needs to be shown in the plan. The landscaping, obviously the plans will change. The applicant has agreed to move that mini golf course back so they can kind of provide an additional buffer along Roanoke Avenue. So the exterior lighting, they do propose 20 pole-mounted lighting fixtures throughout the parking lot at a height of 16 feet above grade, and they are 3,003 Kelvin, so they comply with the color temperature. So I get in the report, I did detail the special permit criteria, which is really under the purview of the town board. But we're here to sort of get the planning board's opinion and transmit some recommendations, so.
Question on the drainage. Where the mini golf is, there's something that there's the dotted line and it looks like a fence around the course, is that right? It's gonna be around the mini golf?
Yes, there's a fence.
And what kind of fence? Just a chain link?
I think it'll be my guess is it would be like a short, 4 foot.
4 foot.
Chain link.
And then there's a dotted line following it around.
That's just a delineation of that design within that is by others. We're not, Young Associates is not designing the mini golf course, it's being designed by a mini golf course.
Nice, okay.
That's it.
Gotcha.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yeah, that's nothing but
So when we get to the site plan, we will require a little more detail on the actual design of the mini golf course. One of the things that is, the special permit criteria about operation and nature of the site, a lot of times mini golf courses, I don't know the exact design, but sometimes mini golf courses have, animated features. If there's gonna be any types of speakers or noise production devices, again, being that this is in a residential area, that's something that we need to take into consideration.
Is there a theme to the park?
I have Harris Golf designing it. They've done probably most of the stuff on the East Coast. They're out of Pennsylvania. I have mock-ups. I didn't bring it, but there's really no theme.
The windmills and all
There's really no theme. It's it'll be nice.
that? Okay, sure.
Are you gonna have wine, beer and wine?
We have a permit now. The prior lessee had a beer and wine permit, so we re-upped that.
Where's that gonna take place? In the existing building next year?
Right now, we have
Sure you will.
the old port stable we're using, so eventually we'll probably come to you for a clubhouse.
So that is a question. So one of the special permit criteria does talk about that the plot area is sufficient, appropriate, and adequate for the use and reasonably anticipated operation and expansion. I'll let Kim discuss this, the details of it, but I did sort of raise that question as to if there is going to be a clubhouse, if there is going to be a further expansion, how we're going to handle that. As I understand it right now, the applicant doesn't have authorization to make the application for a clubhouse.
At this time, I'm just gonna go through the history that I did with the planning board. If you take a look at the first page of the general layout, you see this detail up here in the left-hand corner. It says Sandy Pond Golf Course. You see this lot that's right next to it, that's the Terry sand mine lot. This was one lot. A few years ago, the current property owner, because Mr. Stark, Sandy Pond Links is not the owner of the property, they're the contract vendee. The property is still owned by Riverhead Cement Block Building. And a few years ago, this lot was subdivided off by the current property owner without planning board and health department approval. So technically, even though there's two tax lots here, the property owner right now is going through subdivision approval, and I believe they have preliminary, but they don't have final. And the reason why they don't have final for the subdivision is they're waiting for health department approval. So Sandy Pond Links has owner consent from the property owner for the mini golf course use to come before you, but not for anything else, because our hope is that we're gonna close once the subdivision approval, and so you're gonna be seeing that pretty soon, I'm hoping.
You gonna split it off, or you gonna join it?
No, this lot was split off and is
Right.
owned by Terry Contracting, and they're operating it as a sand.
Oh, okay.
It's just not formally completed yet.
Right, so what they did it by deed, they took a deed, the
Yeah.
property owner took a deed, and they did a meets and bounds, and they took this off and they closed on it, sold it to Terry, and, I believe right now they received preliminary approval for that subdivision, but they're awaiting health department approval, which has not been finalized, and once that's final, then they'll come back before you for final approval
On the subdivision.
on the subdivision, so at this
We're
time.
we're in contract.
We're in contract, so we have permission from the property owner for the mini golf course, but not for anything else, because the property owner says, you do that when you own the property.
Yeah.
So they gave us permission for the mini golf course. There is a desire in the future, after we close on this, to do other things to the golf course, one of them, which is a clubhouse. But right now, we can't move forward on that, because we don't own the property, and it's not engineered. The drawings aren't engineered. That's something that we would like, that the property contract vendor would like to do once they take ownership of it. And we're hoping, we've been in contract for how many, almost 8 months?
Since July.
Since July, so,
And then Bryce Buckles passed away, so that
Made it a
kind
little
of,
more complicated.
that kind of made it a little more complicated, but
because they had to go to surrogate's court, apply for letters, took 6 months to get letters for, so it's an ongoing process. We're hoping to wrap it up hopefully in the next couple of months. But in the meantime, Sandy Pond wanted to get the mini golf course use underway.
So I mean, any clubhouse expansion, anything like that would require another special permit from the town board if it's a further expansion. I think just for the applicant's own knowledge and feasibility, they should factor in, kind of have some sketches and ideas of where it would go. Again, it doesn't need to be a fully engineered design, but I think both the town board and the planning board should see approximate location, make sure that the mini golf course, once it's slid back further off the roadway, that they would have, sufficient space to site said clubhouse.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of the other stuff is really sort of pertaining mostly to the special permit. Are
So
there
this
any-
is going to go over to the town board
So yeah, what I would do is, so I did, Joe had questions about the drainage, theme of the park. Are there any specific concerns or recommendations that the board would like to formally transmit?
You wanna see that?
Will do the hours, or?
Well, I thought that Greg said that they were going to, the town board would establish that.
I mean, I made the recommendations, as staff, I review the application, I bring it up. But if the hours of operation are something that the board would like to formally transmit, I think it would carry a different weight.
What were you planning on the hours, you know? Do you care if
Well,
there's a limit?
obviously, I'll comply with the code, whatever you guys think is, what the code is. I don't wanna violate that, but, I mean, if you go around to any miniature golf course, wherever, they're open at night. It's weather permitting, because it's outdoors.
He's not proposing any speakers.
Yeah, I mean, we're not gonna do anything that's out of sort. I mean, I know there's neighbors there.
The ice cream.
Yeah, we'll have ice cream, if you want ice cream. But, yeah, I mean, it's family entertainment, so, and it's gonna be managed by us. It's not like we're farming it out to some third party. So, whatever's reasonable, 10 o'clock at night, I mean, I don't see, my mother said nothing good happens after midnight, right? So we're not gonna do that.
I mean, in the summertime, it's only a couple hours after dark, and in this location over here, the mini golf relative to Roanoke Avenue, at least in the north part of the property, is down pretty low, and we have dark sky compliant lights within the park, so,
Yeah, if you look at the
it's gonna
elevation,
be pretty
Yeah.
on the
hard to
corner
see.
of Richie Anderson's farm here and Terry's property, it's 36 feet. And at the bottom, in the middle of the layout where the mini golf proposed, it's 23 feet. So it's naturally kind of in a
depression.
bowl.
Right.
So when we move it off the road, it'll even be hopefully even more conducive to, having lights on at 10 o'clock at night.
Good,
I think it's a great idea.
good.
All right,
All right.
thank you very much.
All right, thank you, guys.
Good
luck.
What's the next application?
That should be fast. That's not good.
Yeah. Two birds with one stone.
Baby steps.
Thank you, Greg. Thanks, guys.
Take care.
Thank you. All right, let's move on to 84 Cromer Avenue parking improvements, again with Greg Bergman.
Thank you. So this is really just a quick follow-up discussion. We had reviewed a site plan application a few meetings ago for parking improvements on a site located at 84 Cromer Avenue. It's a site of an existing cement factory. They were proposing to basically formalize parking areas, add some asphalt, add some concrete, do some gravel parking, and install drainage structures. In my report, I did note that the property was not connected to the Riverhead Water District. They had a private well on site. At that meeting, we did have an administrative approval resolution on. Member Bayer did ask questions about requiring groundwater monitor sampling. At that meeting, we did not have Eileen Powers present at the meeting, so we tabled the resolution. I believe it was resolution,
I checked it too as well.
it was resolution
Yeah.
2023. So there was emails that were distributed with the board. Eileen agreed that based on the scope of work, to require the groundwater sampling didn't really seem appropriate. If they did something in the future at the site that would consist of an expansion of the building, something that would trigger health department, I'm certain that that's something that would come up. The only thing I would note, just for the if they do plan on doing something, that would require them to connect to public water. If they're gonna go and repave that driveway and add all that new asphalt, they may wanna think about doing that now. Again, not gonna require it, but it doesn't seem prudent to install a new driveway, pave it, and then rip it up to install a water main. So, again, we do have the resolution here. I would ask the board to untable the resolution and adopt the resolution as it is written.
Sounds good?
Wherever you need it. They would discover by the programs.
Okay, let's move on to correspondence to New York State Department of Transportation with Greg again.
All right. So what I have drafted up, this was really a follow-up from the last planning board meeting on April 6th, when we had a significant discussion about the HK Ventures project and about the finding statement. One of those significant conditions in that finding statement was that building permits shall not issue for the HK Ventures project until the reconstruction of 25 and Edwards is completed. Fully understanding and being sympathetic to the fact that the DOT's reconstruction project is essentially out of the applicant's control as well as out of the town's control. It is scheduled, it is part of their statewide traffic improvement plan, it is funded, it will happen. There was a delay in the project. But what I did was I drafted a letter which will be sent to the Region 10 New York State Department of Transportation Director, Mr. Richard Causin, P.E. Essentially what this letter does is kind of recap the status of the SECR report, the SECR findings, kind of details the importance of the project. The finding statement did acknowledge that this is a significant economic development. It notes that a lot of Calverton is located within a federal opportunity zone, which is designed to help spur economic development. I did recite some of the job creation aspects that are expected to be from the HK Venture site. So what this letter does is asks the DOT director to prioritize the reconstruction and the completion of that 25 and Edwards Avenue intersection over the other 3 intersections. I believe they are proposing improvements to 1 intersection in Southold and 2 intersections in the town of East Hampton. I do not believe that those other 3 intersections are as critical to economic development for the east end of Long Island as this 25 and Edwards Avenue intersection is. So this letter really just kind of pleads our case to the DOT to please prioritize the reconstruction of this intersection.
Well done, Greg.
Yeah, you
Yes,
did an
really
excellent
great.
job.
Send it,
Send it. All right,
I'll go through the resolution.
send it.
Okay. Thank you, Greg. Let's move on to Kent Animal Shelter site plan with Heather Trojnowski.
Pam, if you want to come up.
And is Marty here?
Yes, he's out.
Oh,
He's coming.
okay.
This must be important. We got a lot of heavy hitters over here.
We do. Wait till you see what this is about. Joe Petroselli, J. Petroselli Contracting.
Martin Sanluski Architects.
John Condon, Condon Engineering.
Pam Green, Kent Animal Shelter.
And for the record, Heather Trojnowski, site plan reviewer. So we have everybody here.
Marty, can you just move the and now on the other side.
Just fit.
Don't move it.
Don't move.
All right, so I'm sure everyone here is familiar with Kent Animal Shelter. The planning department received and reviewed a site plan application seeking approval to demolish and reconstruct 2 existing buildings on the site.
one of them being the 3,091 square foot existing dog kennel, and the other is a 1,045 square foot building that they want to use as an isolation building for incoming animals to be adopted. Site improvements include the installation of a new sanitary system, site drainage, and a native landscaped buffer along the southern portion of the parcel. And the subject parcel is located at 2259 River Road in Calverton within the Residence B40 zoning use district. It's more particularly identified as Suffolk County Tax Map numbers 600-138-1-6.1 and 600-138-1-7. So it's two contiguous parcels. The total area between the two parcels is 2.13 acres. The parcels are currently improved with multiple pre-existing buildings, all used by Kent Animal Shelter. Surrounding uses, it's a residential area, so the subject parcel is bordered to the east and west by residential properties. Peconic River bounds it directly to the south. And then across River Road to the north, there is an existing single-family dwelling and also a vacant parcel directly to the northeast. The proposed improvements, again, I said to demolish and rebuild the existing dog kennel within the same footprint while utilizing and reinforcing the existing foundation. And then the isolation building will also be demolished and rebuilt in the same manner. So the idea is not to expand the footprints and to minimize the amount of ground disturbance, especially because they need to install all of the drainage and the new sanitary system.
What are you gonna do with the animals while they're being displaced? Do you have enough room?
I'm probably moving them over to Bidewee in West Hampton.
The proposed action is type 2 action pursuant to SECRA, and no further environmental review is required as the structural improvements represent in-kind, in-place construction to the two existing buildings. So getting into the nitty-gritty of the site plan, parking, again, if you've been to the site, it's unique. The grade slopes down from River Road. They do have an existing parking lot. It's partially paved. There's some, bluestone, it looks like. They want to improve the parking area, and the submitted site plan depicts 34 total parking stalls, and so they're proposing 29 improved and 5 land banked. All of the marked stalls, as shown as the site plan, do meet town code. They're 10 by 20. They show the handicap stalls with the 8-foot aisle between them. But based on the existing building areas, excluding the storage sheds, the minimum required parking for the site, as determined by planning staff, and then the town of Riverhead parking schedule, will only be 30 stalls. So they could actually, reduce some of the parking. And pursuant to Town Code Chapter 301-231L, in the event that an applicant can demonstrate that the off-street parking required is in excess of the parking demand generated by the use or building proposed, the number of improved parking spaces may be reduced by the board responsible for review and approval upon finding that any proposed modification shall be sufficient to serve the demand. So in all cases, at least 2/3 of the number of the required parking spaces shall be provided. If they were to, utilize that section of code, realistically, they would only need to provide 20 improved stalls, including their accessible stalls, and they can land bank the remaining 10. Based on my visits to the site, I adopted a dog and a cat from Kent and also from Ariel's. Even on the weekends, I don't think that they need as much parking as is proposed on the site plan. And I think in an event they need to improve the land bank parking, they could in the future. But again, based on the number of cars that are typically on site, I don't think they need 30 stalls improved. So that would be up to the board.
What I did, Heather, is, this is a copy of the two buildings, just a very diagrammatic plan. I indicated on the plan here, in the main kennel, the bathroom, the stairway, but also the kennel. The kennel is a big part of the building.
Yeah, and that's, dogs don't drive cars.
Yeah,
so.
exactly. And then on the other building, you have the, the dog and the cat room here, that we could, realistically, we could park for the isolation building at 422 square feet administrative, and for the kennel building at 1,720 square foot administrative. And I would think it might be a consideration to not then apply the 1 to 300 to the kennels, because it just doesn't seem to make sense, and that would probably lower the requirement also.
Yeah, so that's something that the board would look into. I would obviously, review this and double check all the calculations. But again, my point is that based on visits to the site recently and in the past, and also looking at aerials, Near Maps is very good about updating their aerials, even on weekends. There isn't, as far as I can see, any sort of issue with parking between the people who come to visit the shelter, the people who work at the shelter, and the people who volunteer at the shelter. So moving on from the parking, there were a couple things that I noted on the site plan that could potentially require zoning board of appeals relief. I'm not sure if, Mr. Condon, if you had a chance to work that out or not.
Yeah, we're going to work it out.
Okay, yeah, their proposed impervious surface coverage does exceed what's existing. So if they could reduce it to maintain existing or even be a little bit less, zoning board of appeals relief would not be required.
Well, I gotta go to ZBA, or better work it out, so
Yeah, we're gonna work it out, so we don't have to.
Another thing that I noted is that, you know, there are 2 residential properties on either side of the Kent Animal Shelter parcel. I know there is a fence on the border of the eastern property. The western property, there is no fence, and town code does dictate that a 10-foot landscape buffer would be required between the commercial or business use and the neighboring residential uses. Another issue that I found with the parking in the driveway is that in order for two-way traffic to go through the site, they need at least a 24-foot wide driveway and a drive aisle between the parking stalls. And in order to do that, I mean, they have their proposed sanitary sort of in the middle of the parcel towards River Road. So if they were to land bake the parking there and try to widen the driveway towards the western property boundary, they wouldn't have a lot of room to do that 10-foot landscape buffer. So again, that's something that would have to be hashed out through the design process, or they could go to the Zoning Board of Appeals for relief. I did note at the end of my staff report that previous approvals, it looks like they did receive relief from the Zoning Board of Appeals, granted by determination number 12-50, March 14th, 2013, for providing less than 10 feet of landscape buffer between the residential use properties. So this is something that I don't think would be impossible if we can't work it into the site plan, but I would like to, see if we could redesign to avoid the requirement for any
Should be
relief.
able to fit it.
As you all know, this does abut the Peconic River, so it's subject to both New York State DEC and Town of Riverhead CAC approvals. The New York State Department of Environmental Conservation already issued permits. One wild scenic and recreational rivers permit dated January 18th, 2022, expiring on January 17th, 2027, and also a freshwater wetlands permit with the same dates and expiring on January 17th, 2027 as well. So they've already cleared the hurdle with the DEC for what they're proposing in this site plan. I also just received a letter back from the Pine Barrens, and they said that the proposal, no further review is required, and the proposal constitutes non-development pursuant to the act. So again, what they're proposing, the site plan that you looked at, the Pine Barrens is fine with it. They already have their DEC permits. Obviously, they would need to make an application to the Town of Riverhead Conservation Advisory Council, since the site's within the 150-foot Town of Riverhead freshwater wetland buffer. And Suffolk County Planning Commission came back. They found the matter to be, the site plan to be a matter for local determination. I know that they worked very hard with Suffolk County Department of Health Services to find the correct location and design for the sanitary system. As you may know, because it's an animal shelter, they require 2 separate systems for human and animal waste. So they did actually have to covenant the sewage design flow, which was recorded, library and page number was recorded on November 9th of 2022, and that limits the total maximum sewage design flow to 1,496 gallons per day on the site. So we would just need the health department stamp survey. It seems like they've already approved, and you have
I'm gonna make a PDF copy of this. I'm gonna
okay,
get it
perfect.
scanned.
So you already have the
Yeah.
permit and the
Yeah,
survey?
we got it's all approved, all set, the permit approved. I'll send you a PDF copy of it. The only one they gave us back. They only gave us one.
Okay,
so
no problem.
I'm gonna hold on to it.
As far as there is an archaeological site boundary identified on the site plan, there's no work or disturbance proposed in this area. And per the New York State DEC permits issued, they referred it to SHPO. and SHPO replied to them, and they determined that the proposed activity would have no adverse impact on the registered or eligible archaeological sites or historic structures. So no further review in accordance with the State Historic Preservation Act is required. As far as the town departments, I did refer it to the fire marshal. I haven't received any comments back yet. I referred it over to the town engineer, and in a memo dated March 9th, 2023, the town engineer did provide comments. Those would be addressed through the revised site plan, and again, other design issues would have to be worked out as well. The Riverhead Water District did confirm that the property was served by a 1-inch meter and a vault with an RPZ, and is in compliance with annual testing. So if there's no change in water service or the meter size, the applicant would only need to advise the water district when they're ready for disconnect, when you're, or a turn-off letter when you demo those buildings. So I think that's it. And then ARB is going to look at this next week. If we have any questions.
I have to say, I'm not familiar with the site of the business. I have to ask, I have to ask a general question. What is a cat retirement home?
Cat retirement.
I was gonna ask about the parking next, how much parking do you need when they get visitation on the weekends?
For the cat retirement home?
Would it be
No one goes.
sufficient?
No one visits there. It's for cats that survive their owners. It's
Oh.
actually quite nice, better than some people's retirement homes.
Can you adopt from there?
No, they're not for adoption.
Oh, okay.
They're senior.
And the area that's listed as archaeological site boundary, why was that delineated? What, did they find Indian
We
relics
had
there or
some
something?
soil samples taken and so forth. It's a while back, and they found some quartz, I believe, and so that was kind of marked off, that nothing could be done.
Oh, I can answer that.
Oh, there he is.
Yes.
State your name, sir?
Just state your name, sir. Charles Bowman, Land Use Ecological
Yeah,
Services.
you want to come up to the mic? I'll switch over for you.
Anyway, our first go-around, we were in front of the DEC, the Pine Barrens, and of course we went through SHPO. We had to have an archaeological survey done. They did find some artifacts, which is, broken shards, pot shards, nothing of great importance. But they did designate an area from the test pits that there should be no disturbance. And that gets filed with them, and the town gets a copy of where that is, and it gets put in the record someplace.
Not that they didn't find any burial areas or something like that?
No, but it's on the river. It's logical that there would be artifacts.
Right.
So,
Thank you.
no problem.
I actually printed out a portion of the Phase 1 Cultural Resources Survey from the Riverhead Solar 2 project, and they included the Kent Animal Shelter site, and it was, they said the site type lithic scatter is what they had found there in that archaeological site. But the eligibility is undetermined pursuant to SHPO, so as long as they don't propose any ground disturbance in that area, and it's not as a part of the site plan.
One other question is, are these buildings that you're rebuilding, are they dilapidated, or they falling apart, or?
Pretty much. They're
They're old.
55 years old. Yeah,
And you're staying on the original footprint?
yes.
That was the Pine Barrens. That's the only way we could get through the Pine Barrens Commission. The first
Could you
plan.
speak up just a little bit?
I'm sorry, that's the only way we could get through the Pine Barrens Commission, our first go-around. We were gonna combine all the buildings, tear everything down, put in an STP, move it all uphill, and we went before the commission, looked favorably, and we were gonna get sued, and the commission was gonna get sued because it was supposedly new development by the Pine Barrens Society was gonna sue us. So that went away, and this project, because we're using footprints, they agreed with no new development, which is the verbiage, in their statute.
Yeah.
So we had to, we would have rather gone with the other, it made more sense to get everything off the river
such stuff.
Just have one quick comment on the drawing. Show the entranceway off River Road. You got a 12-foot dimension, and then further up, you got another 12-foot dimension when it's wider.
Yeah, we're gonna widen that to 24.
Okay, I think you guys are doing really good things over there. Thank you for all that you do.
So if the board doesn't have any other questions, I do have two resolutions on today. One to classify the action pursuant to secra, and then also to schedule a public hearing, if you wanted to schedule a public
I know
hearing.
you're right on the river there. Do those buildings ever flood? Are you gonna raise them or anything, or? No,
They don't.
they don't flood?
The answer is no. And the only time water actually came up in all the years I've been there is when the ground, it was in March, the ground was frozen, we had a tremendous amount of rain. So, but it didn't go into any of the buildings.
It was from the river.
Yeah.
Groundwater's high there, and
Yeah.
down by the river, the low end of the site.
Well, good luck.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you.
thank you.
See you next month. Thank you.
Marty, I can keep this?
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
I just had a hip replacement 3 weeks ago. Look at me.
You're moving around really good.
Yeah.
For you.
All right, Heather, let's move on to Lovecom LLC farm stand application.
And I believe we actually have Mr. Rosenbaum here.
Back again?
Just need your name for the record,
Sure.
please.
Hanan Rosenbaum, Lavender by the Bay. Hanan, Chanan. The C is silent.
John Condon, Condon Engineering. Thank you.
Okay, so at Mr. Bayer's request, this is back on for discussion, just to further explore the proposed entry onto Middle Country Road.
I must apologize at the last meeting when you brought up, I was on Zoom and I couldn't get proper communication to ask this question, so
Sure.
I just wanted to go over it.
Yeah, absolutely. Happy to be here.
Because I just felt that, given projects that are gonna be coming around Manor Road and 25, and if the farm stand will move onto Manor Road with an entrance off 25, obviously, that it would keep traffic from increasing. I'm not loud, I'm coming through? No?
Can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
On, mic's on. Big louder! Can you hear me now? That's how the commercial said. Anyway, I just thought that I'd like to hear why perhaps you did or didn't look at that as a
So,
location.
we currently have our location off of Manor Road.
I know that, yes.
And, you know, just, it's good for when we're in bloom, when we're a destination. Right now, we're not a destination, and I'm not getting the traffic that I need
Yeah.
for sales. You know, like today, we were open since 10. I've had 8 transactions. I have a mortgage on the property. It's just, it's not sustainable to keep it on Manor. I need
You
to
have
be
a
able-
farm, you have a stand there?
Correct, yes, yeah.
Because I know you have a lot of parking. I remember that
Right,
from
right.
last
So my goal is really just to have this entrance for when we're not in bloom, so that we can attract cars that are driving by. When we are in bloom, I have my overflow parking in the back, and that's where Manor is gonna be the main entrance for the farm stand. I don't intend to have a farm stand open off of Middle Country Road when we're in bloom. So it should address the traffic issue.
And just a note, I believe when you're in bloom is usually July.
Correct.
That's typically peak time for Splish Splash. I know that, the traffic does back up there. When they do open, Memorial Day weekend, they have limited hours, typically until Father's Day weekend. And then as it gets hotter, obviously it gets busier, and then the traffic there winds down, usually end of August, and they close Labor Day. I had brought this up as a safety concern because of the posted speed limit and, the turning lane striping there. Mr. Rosenbaum said that he would be amenable to the no left turns, in or out of the
Eastbound?
site.
Eastbound.
Eastbound, correct. Correct.
Okay, so just out of the site.
Out of the site, right.
So let me ask you, how would it benefit you to have the farm stand operate there when you have restrictions on
So no,
ingress and egress, instead of still having your farm stand there, but the entrance be on Mill Road, which would be
On Manor.
safer?
because people
Manor,
aren't,
sorry,
people aren't
Manor.
turning onto Manor. So that's really the issue. I need the cars driving by to be able to pull in, to grab their lavender.
Do you have any signs on 25?
It's some basic, just plants for sale, lavender bunches. We have a huge flag at the corner of Manor and 25, but it's, again, I've been open since 10 today. I've only had 8 transactions. It's just not sustainable. I'm not even making enough to pay my staff to work at the market, to work at the stand. So it's really,
So you think that moving the stand onto 25 is going to?
absolutely, without a doubt.
So you don't think that people will see the stand and try to find a way to get to the stand?
You mean?
If the entrance isn't right there? My concern is...
Correct, because it's not, because I have a huge sign that says lavender on the commercial lot, and people still aren't, they're just driving, they're not stopping, they're not.
Maybe they don't realize that there's a stand there, but if they can visually see a stand and you make it appealing where they're able to
I'm sorry.
actually be driving up towards the visual of the stand, they're not quick trying to make a turn into your stand. They have a little ways to go to make the safe turn
So I'm,
at the light.
so you're saying the entrance being on Manor or the entrance being on 25 in this scenario?
I'm saying that if somebody is coming down 25 and they
Right.
see your stand,
Right.
you make it appealing, and somebody says, I want to go to that stand. You're saying that they're not going to come because they have to turn onto Manor Road?
Right, because that's the situation that I'm in right now.
You don't have anything eye appealing
I have
unless
a huge
it's-
sign that says lavender.
But they don't realize that there's going to be a farm stand there. They just think that you have a lavender farm. They don't know what's there. So I'm saying visually, if they are able to see that there's actually a farm stand on the premises and you have lavender and it looks like you're marketing lavender things, don't you think that they would still turn onto Manor Road?
I mean, I don't. If you're asking me, I don't.
Just to interject, I'm sorry for interrupting, but just to interject, I think, along with what the chairman is saying, if you had and this is just off the top of my head, if you had a sign, we sell lavender here, okay, and then you directed them wherever,
I mean, I do have signs.
I know it well, I pass it
Yeah.
2-3 times a day.
I think he has, highway frontage and he wants to take advantage of that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I agree.
Right.
I'm not totally disagreeing with it,
If I could just make a suggestion, as far as the safety concern goes, would it be viable since, DOT approved this, would it be viable to also include a driveway up to Manor so that if people want to get out of the site and make a left, they can use the light to do so safely rather than trying to make a left onto 25? Because even if we condition a no left turn sign there, we all well know that people don't always read signs. That's
Or
just an
obey them.
option.
There will be someone trying to do something.
Right, and there's also the issue too, if that's the case, if someone on 25 is driving down and they want to go back to Manor, they're going to have to make a U-turn somewhere. And that's even more dangerous, to make a
In the
U-turn at
future,
that
that
side.
intersection is going to have major improvements.
Right, but I understand your concern, but I need this today to be able to operate. Who knows what's going to happen, with all these future developments.
When you're calling this a farm stand, are you going to sell anything other than lavender and lavender products?
No, just lavender.
You're not going to have spinach,
No,
carrots?
I mean, Hoden Farms is up the block.
Right, right.
We stick, this is what we do. We do lavender. We were successful in East Marion, we brought it here, the community loves us. You know, I think it's a beautiful thing when we're in bloom. You know, I love New York. In all their, you know, top 20 places to visit in New York, they're always listing us. So I think it's a testament to what we've done. We love the area, so.
And I
Listen,
don't-
we're not against what you're trying to do whatsoever. We're
Right.
just, we're the planning board.
I
We
hear you,
need
yeah,
to
of course.
Plan what could come down the road
Right.
in the future, and safety is a number one issue.
100%,
And right
100%.
at the spot that you would have people turning in is where the turning lane, the middle lane begins for the traffic light. So it's not that it's that
But
far of a
DOT,
distance.
but that's also why I went to DOT first, to get their
Yes, I
sign
know
off,
you did that.
and they signed off on it. I mean, they're taking into account all the future plannings as well.
Yeah, I referred this to DOT, and I had mentioned, for example, the pending Osted subdivision, which was also referred to DOT. And they just sent me back the approved plans and all the correspondence between Mr. Condon and themselves. And if I could just add, I don't know if any of you saw the email I forwarded you this morning. We received from the Long Island Farm Bureau a letter that was signed by Rob Carpenter, just saying that, you know, in the application, the farmer has specifically requested the location of the farm stand for visibility and ease of operation. There will be a minimal impact to land and to the surrounding area. In fact, there's another farm stand along the same road approximately half a mile to the west, and we can easily see that the impact from traffic there is negligible. The addition of another farm stand further west of Edwards Avenue will have little to no bearing, in our opinion, on the Edwards Avenue crossing. Because I know, Joe, you had mentioned in your email your concerns about, you know, the intersection of Edwards and 25. So this is just, you know, I'm not sure if you got a chance to read it. Again, Long Island Farm Bureau, they just wanted to show that they support the location of the farm stand. Again, as far as a safety standpoint, you know, I don't know if you would be okay with adding an additional driveway onto Manor.
I mean, I would prefer not to, I have plants already planted there, so I have to remove that. And then I want to do a farm, a deer fence so it's another gate now, so ideally no.
You have a deer fence on the property to the north?
Correct.
And you're gonna put one around?
We're gonna extend, right.
Are they attacking your plants already?
You know, sometimes.
They have samples sometimes.
Right, exactly, you know, it depends how hungry they are.
Yeah. They have to like lavender.
So the only thing, if I could just add one thing, you know, for a farm stand, the traffic levels from a farm stand probably wouldn't be that significant. But this property is zoned RLC, which does sort of allow a little more of a commercial use. So I just, you know, the board should kind of keep in the back of their minds that if Mr. Rosenbaum were to come in to develop the site in a more commercial fashion as opposed to the farm stand, this might not be the appropriate location for more of a commercial use again. So farm stand, but if it were to be some type of professional office, which would be a specially permitted use,
Right.
you know, I think that would be really, you know, we might have to look at that. So I guess,
Yeah, I'm
as
not-
long as the board's aware and
Right.
Mr. Rosenbaum's aware,
It's
that's
like
something
a-
We picked the farm
long,
stand.
yeah, again, long
Right,
term, but.
exactly, it's either commercial or, you know, we go farm
Yeah.
stand. Right now, I just want to cover my mortgage, you know, so,
Nothing wrong with making profit.
you know.
It's okay.
We have this scheduled for
I
a public
ha-
hearing?
No, I had it, farm stands aren't subject to public hearing, but I did have it on for an approval resolution with conditions. I mean, whether you wanted to amend those conditions, or I'm not sure what the board, you know, what direction they want to go in at this point.
What conditions?
So, you know, we had talked about the no left turn signs. Also, the parking had to be reduced because the parking that was originally proposed on the site plan was in excess of what is required. So we, between Mr. Rosenbaum and myself, we determined that 30 spots would be more than adequate for the farm
More than-
stand.
Did you read the, you're okay with everything?
Yeah.
And then I just asked that the site plan be revised to show the accessible stalls, that they would have to be improved pursuant to both Town Code and ADA Act, ADA. And then the locations of the signs prohibiting left turns, so I had them into or out of the site. I'm not sure if you had seen
I don't
that.
know how, no, I didn't see it. How can I enforce into?
Well, and revisiting that, it's in state right of way, so I don't know if we would be able to even condition a no left-hand turn sign there. So I mean, it would be, to amend that, third condition, it would just be out of the site, no left turns.
And if I could interject, I just had a thought. If the board's concerned about traffic, Mr. Rosenbaum saying he's gonna operate this only off-season, it's possible you can condition when he's gonna utilize this farm stand to the time of year, if he's okay with it. If he's only gonna if you're saying you're only gonna use it in the off-season prior to bloom, he operates this farm stand on the road maybe from October until May, and then under the condition that he has to shut down and then go to the,
I
to the
don't
next
want to
day.
restrict him. If he's gonna have his business there, we'll let him have it there.
Yeah, just to assuage some traffic concerns, if that's just a thought.
I would rather not.
Yeah, that's fine.
Again, my infrastructure and my overflow, from just a logistics standpoint, doesn't make sense for me to have it over here. I have a huge overflow lot in the back. That's where I want to be able to control the traffic. Having people park over here, then I'm gonna have people from Splish Splash. That's not my intent. My intent is to, today, this weekend, to attract the people driving out, sell some plants. When I'm in bloom, it's in the middle. If things change, I'm coming back to the board, so.
Will the parking area that you have right now for the Lavender Farm, will people be able to park there and still get access to the farm stand that is proposed?
Probably not.
Probably not.
I don't wanna, so you're saying, will the people be able to access the Manor Road?
To
I'm not gonna.
park there and walk?
Right, I don't intend, if I open up the deer fence potentially, but
Oh,
no.
okay.
I don't intend to really have two operations running at the same time. From a
Yeah,
business
they are two
standpoint.
separate parcels.
Right.
That's what I was gonna ask you, if you're gonna have the
Well, that's what
farm
Matt,
stand
I
open
guess, was
and
touching.
then have the other.
I don't think so. It's not my intent. If I can, if I can have, that's not my intent. I don't wanna have two people working. It just doesn't make sense. My point is, I wanna have this more like a farmer's market where people coming in, they're getting their plants, they're getting their lavender, and they're leaving. The bloom is a different story. They come, they walk around the field,
Yeah, they take pictures.
they take pictures. When I'm not in bloom, there's really not much to do at the farm, so.
Where do you produce all the lavender products?
So we have our facility in East Marion,
Do it there.
yeah. At some point, I would like to put something more substantial as a farm stand, but, we're in a recession, I don't have the money.
Here we are. Oh, good.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Good
Thank you very
luck to
much.
you.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
And come check us out when we're in bloom, guys.
We're gonna do that.
I've been there, it's beautiful.
All right, well, thank you.
We buy it every morning. I love it. July.
July. Is that end of June, July? All right, let's move on to public comments on the resolutions. If anyone has anything that they would like to come up and comment on that is directed towards the resolutions only, come on up now.
Good afternoon, board members. Jeff Seaman. I want to make it clear I'm not here in any official capacity. I'm not representing any applicants, clients, or the town. But I'd like to share a few both technical and philosophical comments on Resolution 032, the HK Ventures finding statement. I think I'd like to begin with a compliment to both the entire board as lead agency and in particular single out Greg Bergman's work. I'm responsible for certain things within the EPCAL fence line, and in order to keep current with environmental conditions in the surrounding area, I've reviewed that and that EIS together with other information. I've witnessed through access most of the hearings and the comments as well, including the April 6th meeting. And I can assure you that Greg has done an extremely thorough job, one of great labor, having reviewed EISs myself It's a tremendous effort to have to flip through a document, look at plans, postage stamps, write yourself notes, and then try and close that off until the next time you open the book and begin to prepare a finding statement to the extent that this finding statement represents. So strong recognition for that work, please. Secondly, I'd like to commend the board for doing such a thorough job in its entire review on the draft and final EIS, as well as the supplements and the finding statement itself. The finding statement, as you know, is the real conclusion of SEQRA, but it's the real opportunity and only opportunity for the lead agency to implement the mitigating measures to the maximum extent practicable under SEQRA. That is your charge. You're also permitted under SEQRA to expand your traditional jurisdictional boundaries and look at mitigation well beyond the purview of what a planning board would typically do. And that's actually recommended. And I think that comes into play in this particular application in a number of areas. At the forefront of that are the continued discussions that have evolved around the intersection of Edwards Avenue and its improvements, providing that expansion of your responsibilities outside your typical jurisdiction do not conflict with another agency's jurisdiction. You're allowed to do that. In this case, you're actually complementing what the DOT is recommending for the improvements in that area. I know that may not be always popular with applicants, but finding statements are not negotiated instruments. Finding statements are real, factual, binding commitments that are outlined to mitigate the impacts as best can be performed and that are fair and balanced. I think this instrument does that for you. Also, I know there's some concern about delays with respect to how the project would progress. Nothing is going to happen until the finding statement is eventually adopted. So this breaks that egg in order to get out of SEQRA and allow other reviews and approval from other agencies to continue. I think that's an advantage to everyone in this situation. But also, because of some on-site complications, there's upwards of 90,000 cubic yards of soil with some levels of contaminants that need to be addressed under both Part 375 regulations, but also there's SWIP that's going to be required in order to manage that is probably going to be rather detailed and complicated itself for review, because that material will need to be isolated and moved throughout the site depending upon how the waste characterization of those stockpiles do or don't comply with the standards for use under the Part 375 regulations. So I don't see that as this request to hold back until the improvements are made on Edwards as a real delay. Because of that, they still have, I think, some issues to move forward with the Riverhead Water District to resolve some connection issues there, and certainly for this board to continue site plan and final site plan reviews. So I advocate strongly for the adoption of the finding statement as it's been prepared to date. And again, thank you. Happy to answer any questions, technical or otherwise, but just wanted to share my thoughts with you on this application.
Thank you
You're
for
in
your
good
time
standing
today.
with this one.
Thank you, Jeff.
All right, anyone else? Let's move on to the resolutions.
I move resolution number 20 for 84 Cromer Avenue parking improvements. So moved.
We have to untable that one.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion to untable resolution number 20.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now I'd like to move resolution number 20 for 84 Cromer Avenue, parking improvements, so moved.
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro? Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
Move resolution number 27, classifying and assuming lead agency for the T-Mobile Fresh Pond Avenue.
Second the motion?
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
I'll move resolution 28 for the Kent Animal Shelter, classifying the action as a type 2 action pursuant to secret. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
29, Kent Animal Shelter Resolution to schedule a public hearing.
Second.
Site plan application seeking approval to demolish and reconstruct 2 existing buildings used for Kent Animal Shelter.
I'll second it.
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
Move resolution number 30, which is the classifying secret for the Lavcom LLC farmstead.
Second.
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
Move resolution number 31, HK Ventures LLC, transmission letter to the Department of Transportation. Region number 10, Director. So moved.
Second.
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes.
O'Day?
Yes.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes.
I'll move 32, HK Ventures LLC, to adopt the secret finding statement for the site plan application. So moved.
Second the motion?
Vote, please. Bear?
Yes, I would make a statement because I'm not going to vote in favor of it, although I'm in favor of the project. And I commend Greg for the work that he did. I think the finding statement is excellent, that it lays everything out. And unfortunately, there's still one thing that I'm not happy with, and that is the fact that they can't do any starting until the completion of the intersection. My feeling is that if we moved back and they started their construction when the intersection started, I think that would give both projects to meld. And plus the fact, anything they're doing there, they will need a CO. And so they, even if they had a building permit, they can't occupy it unless a CO is there. So I vote no.
Okay. O'Day?
No.
Nenaro?
Aye.
Nacesky?
Aye.
Woski, yes. Okay. Do we have any public comments on all matters?
Claudette Bianco, Baiting Hollow. I just want to take this opportunity to compliment the staff of the planning department, because with the absence of Mr. Murphy, one person less in the department, you guys have done an incredible job. The level of detail, just listening to these proposals and the documents and the investigation behind it, it's an enormous job with everybody there, with people missing, controversy, et cetera. Just the planning department and all the backup staff, because I know that it's not just you guys. Greg, Heather, Matt, everybody has done an outstanding job keeping everything running smoothly, consistent, no wrinkles for the staff, for the board, for the residents, for everybody, just keeping everything running smoothly. I'm sure it's been difficult, but I want to compliment them.
Thank you for acknowledging them.
It's
They
really
do
well-deserved.
an exceptional job.
They have done an exceptional
True
job, and it should be
professionals.
recognized.
Absolutely, thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay, can we,
Move the minutes of the meeting of March 16th, 2023. So moved.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Other business? Correspondences? I just would like everybody to be reminded that we have the Riverhead Comprehensive Plan update this Saturday from 10 a.m. until 12 at the Suffolk Theater in beautiful downtown Riverhead. I ask every resident of this town to please come out and be a part of this. Everybody is invited. We want to hear from you. Your voice is needed. So I hope to see you all there on Saturday morning. And with that, our,
Question.
yes.
And I think, I just wanted for this, for the record, the comprehensive planning consultant is coming here to
That's
speak
correct.
with us, and that is at the next meeting, is that correct?
That's correct. That would be at the May 3rd meeting?
I think it's May 4th.
4th?
It's the first Thursday in May.
First
Yeah,
Thursday.
Our night meeting.
Yes, 6 PM.
Thank you.
They will be here, I believe in person, it might be Zoom, I'm not entirely sure right now, but there will definitely be someone here representing BFJ.
Do we want to keep the agenda light?
Yes, please.
We have a public hearing, but
Oh.
other than that.
I think that's supposed to be probably a quick one, so we'll put that on and then we'll switch over to BFJ. So, all right, our next meeting date is Thursday, May 4th. There's our answer, May 4th, 2023 at 6 PM. Everybody, thank you.
Greg?
Have a nice weekend, everybody.
Greg?
Hey, planning staff,